A lot of talk around exclusion and stuff like that at the moment, and a big part of it, and one of the most common reason for exclusion in schools at the moment is persistent disruptive behaviour. But for me, in the vast amount of cases, persistent disruptive behaviour is a mask for a really much more underlying survival strategy that that child has taken on. And we'll talk a lot about choice and the child that chooses the behaviour. But for me, in all reality, it's just a different way of surviving and something that's outlived its usefulness. And I'll look at that in lots of different ways. So part of the training that I do is very much around all of the different reasons why children might behave in a certain way, and in the hope that I can increase empathy and I can increase understanding for staff to sort of really dig a little bit deeper. And this part of the training is more of a sort of to get people to have a think and possibly see what other reasons there might be for some of those challenging behaviours that the young people display. So for me, it's about motive and it's about origin and where does that behaviour originate and come from. And it's lots of different bits, but I've focused it into sort of three different areas. And you will have those young people that display that uncontrolled aggression, that panic, that immediate response, that feeling scared or perceiving threat, and it causes an immediate reaction that might be led by fear. And we often refer to that as being hijacked by their reptilian brain and the survival part of the brain with the fight, flight, freeze, and how that fight response often comes out of that in terms of aggression. Now, for me, that is motivated by a need for self-defense. And you know, if a child is responding to something in self-defense because they are perceiving a genuine threat, then how we respond to that is really important. And I'd love to spend more time on that, but that's not what this course is about. The second one is that overwhelmed, that build up of emotions and feelings, and this take part in your limbic system, that part of the brain that is responsible for your feeling. It's built up over time, and we've all been in that position where we're fed up, and then we become frustrated, and then we become angry, and then we often lose control of ourselves in some degree. Probably not to the point of aggression or violence or really challenging behaviour, but we still feel at that point where we're not fully in control of our actions. And again, there were opportunities within that, and we do it within ourselves or we do it within our young people at school, where we could have put an intervention in, but we missed the opportunity. We could have felt that frustration and gone for a walk, or we could have taken a break or something like that, but we didn't. And then it's ended up overflowing. And there's lots of analogies out there like stress bucket and stuff like that to sort of talk about that. But that is a loss of control through the overwhelmed build-up. And again, I'd love to spend some time on that isn't what this little segment is about. This segment is about those masked, long-term, premeditated survival strategies that young people will choose. They've had opportunities to calm down, and they've still chosen that negative behaviour. And that is a really difficult thing for staff to understand. Often it feels like they hate your subject, or they hate you, or they want to get out of your class, or they're just messing about, or all these different things. And there are lots of different factors attached to this, which we'll look at. But the fact that it's not a loss of control makes it very difficult for us to manage sometimes. So it is about long-term survival, and we're going to look about why it's about long-term survival, because all too often we focus on what the behavior is, and there there are, you know, certain advisors that will say, you know, that all we need is the boundaries and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is we don't know why the behaviour is happening and what's motivating it. Then how can we learn from it and